Today, I'm learning more about the most important meal of the day, breakfast. We'll find out how to create simple, delicious, and balanced breakfasts, a farmer's frittata with fresh eggs, and a homemade granola, fruit, and yogurt parfait that's perfect for breakfast on the run. It's all coming up on today's Food for Thought. Breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. It's your body's first chance to reload with the right nutrients to make sure you're at your best. Today, we're making some simple breakfast recipes starting with one of my favorites, the farmer's frittata. It's full of delicious things that make it a wonderful change from the status quo, as well as a significant part of a complete breakfast. Now, what really is a complete breakfast anyway? You need to incorporate all of the food groups. So that means fruits and vegetables, grains, dairy, and a little bit of protein. All it takes is a little bit of planning. So to make my frittata, it is super simple. All you need are a couple things, most stuff I have left over in the fridge anyway. So I start with 7 eggs, a couple of cherry tomatoes, some white corn, a little bit of shredded mozzarella cheese, garlic, asparagus, and for my dairy, a bit of milk. So first, I'm gonna get cracking my eggs. And the idea here is I'm using a combination of egg whites and whole eggs. So I'm getting all of that great protein from the egg whites, but that beautiful egg flavor from the whole eggs as well. You can tell these are really fresh because of how yellow and bright the yolk is and how well contained the protein is. So there are my whole eggs. Now I have to start separating the egg whites. And that's pretty easy. You can do it with the eggshell or with just your bare hands. A great use for all of these leftover egg yolks, custard. Now, most of the nutritional value of the egg is in the egg yolk, but it also has all of the fat. So you want to strike a really good balance by incorporating a lot of egg whites in this. Now I'm all done with my eggs, but I have been handling raw eggs, so I need to go wash my hands and clean off my board. So to season my eggs, I'm just gonna use a little bit of salt and pepper. I love pepper. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of milk, just a 1/4 cup. You can eyeball it if you like. The milk adds a little bit of dairy content, but also a really beautiful flavor, and it gets everything to brown really nicely. Time to whisk. When you're whisking it, you don't have to go crazy beating it. You can just go long enough until it's really nicely blended together. So these eggs look really great. I'm gonna get started with doing the rest of my vegetables. I like keeping my vegetables relatively whole. I have whole corn kernels, I have whole cherry tomatoes, so I'm gonna keep my asparagus in larger segments. And one of the tricks here with asparagus is it gets a little bit woody down at the bottom. Some people like to snap, but sometimes you can actually end up wasting a little bit of that asparagus, so I like to cut it. So if you can kind of just get a sense of where that spot is just by bending it. For this one, it's gonna be about here. It's where it starts getting a little bit lighter and a little bit woody. On this one, you can really see the difference. It's super green up here and it starts getting a little bit white and almost purple at the bottom. And even just using your fingers to touch, it's very tender up here and it starts getting a little bit woody and tough down here. So that's the part you want to chop off. So I'm just gonna chop these into 1-inch segments, large enough so they still have their flavor and texture. If you chop them any smaller, they might lose that in the frittata. So everything looks really good. I'm gonna get started on prepping my frittata. So first, I'm going to saute my corn and my garlic. So into the pan goes a little bit of olive oil, and you wanna have your pan already warm when you add your olive oil. So I'm waiting until the corn gets a little bit soft. You just want it to kind of get a little bit toasted and kind of golden brown. Well, my corn's looking really good. It's starting to soften up a little bit. So now I'm gonna add my garlic. And the key with garlic is it burns really easily. So you always wanna add it to something in the pan. Never put it directly into a hot pan. Oh, it smells amazing. So I'm gonna let this just saute together until it becomes a little bit golden brown. Everything's beautiful and toasted. And meanwhile, I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt and pepper, just so that everything is perfectly seasoned. Then I don't have to worry about adjusting anything later. I would eat this by itself. So this looks perfect. If I were to cook this any longer, the corn would start losing its starch, and you really want that to go into the frittata. Now I'm gonna add my tomatoes, and I'm adding them whole. And the reason is I love the pop of juiciness you get when you bite into them in the frittata. So I'm just gonna let these saute a little bit just to get a little bit of oil on them, a little bit of heat so they start to soften. Now I'm gonna add my asparagus just right in. So I'm adding my asparagus last because this is the most delicate of all the vegetables I'm including in this frittata. It can get overcooked really quickly and you lose that beautiful flavor and crunch. It can get really stringy and it's just no fun to eat. Great, well, I'm gonna add my eggs now because all the vegetables look absolutely beautiful. Now is your chance to move the vegetables around a little bit just to make sure it's evenly distributed. I want everyone to get some tomato and some asparagus. And if my brother were here, I would poke these out of the way because he does not like tomatoes or asparagus. That's kind of the fun thing with frittatas is they're pretty playful and you can kind of do a lot of different flavor combinations in one frittata. So this is very well set. I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit of cheese on it and then pop it straight into the oven. When we come back, we'll reveal our final farmer's frittata, and later we'll create fruity, crunchy yogurt parfaits with some homemade surprises. Before the break, we showed you how to create a beautiful farmer's frittata loaded with enough nutritious ingredients to make it a truly balanced breakfast. While that's baking, let's find out what put the farm in that frittata. I'm at Winnetka Farms, a suburban half-acre farmstead that's been turned from a basic backyard to a haven for fresh vegetables, organic seedlings, and the reason for my visit today, fresh eggs.
We maintain a flock of heritage chicken originally from Barneveld in Eastern Holland called the Barnevelder. We have 28 hens and 2 roosters. These are the nesting boxes on the back side of the coop, and you can access them from the outside. And it's an easy way to come and collect the fresh eggs that are laid. It's really wonderful. We originally brought the chickens to the farm because we wanted our own source of fresh, healthful eggs. But the chickens really do benefit the overall atmosphere of the farm. The sound of the rooster is a wonderful thing. People enjoy it. We feed them produce that we grow here, which in turn adds to the nutritional content of their eggs. So they really are an integral part of the cycle of the garden for producing food.
Urban and suburban farms are everywhere. A great place to find them is at your local farmer's market, where fresh food is sold directly to the public. Craig provided me with the eggs for my farmer's frittata and some great reasons why farm fresh eggs can be a smart choice.
An organically produced egg from your own hens in your backyard is a really great source of nutrition because you can eat it knowing that there's no traces of hormones or antibiotic. You know exactly what went into those birds and what produced that healthful egg.
So my frittata is done. It looks beautiful. The way you can tell it's done, the edges have puffed up, it looks crispy around the edge, but it still has a little bit of give in the middle. It's not totally set. It's almost like when you bake a cheesecake, you still want a little bit of jiggle. Perfect. So my frittata is almost done. I just have a couple of finishing touches to add to it. I love arugula, especially with the cheese. It's gonna go really well with that because arugula is a little bit peppery, kind of bitter, and with something like cheese, it goes perfect. So I'm just gonna do a little mound in the middle and then drizzle the whole thing with olive oil. It just adds that little bit of freshness, a really great pop of color, and I love olive oil on anything. This is more than enough for, I'd say, at least 2 to 3 people, so this is definitely a great breakfast to make for friends. That is such a great balance. It's eggy, but not too much. You get the sense of the sweetness from the corn, a little bit of that garlic flavor, and a really fresh crunch of the asparagus. It is so delicious. And if I just added some whole grain toast to this, it would be a perfect complete meal. I have protein from my eggs, dairy covered with my milk, and then lots of great fresh vegetables. After I finish eating this, I'm gonna get started on another recipe that is so easy you won't believe it's a complete breakfast. It's really important to start every morning with a belly full of a nutritious breakfast. I'm usually super busy in the mornings though, so I only have time to make something really quickly. My solution, an easy make-ahead granola parfait. It has Greek yogurt, homemade granola, and macerated berries, which just means berries with a little bit of orange juice on them, so all of their juices come out and it's really rich and fresh. It's so delicious. I'm gonna start with my granola. It's super simple to make. I'm gonna take some oats and put it in my bowl. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of brown sugar for sweetness. I'm gonna add a little bit of coconut because it gets really toasted and it adds a really nice crunch to the granola. Next, I'm going to add flax seeds. And these little seeds are packed with protein and really good fat, so they're delicious and a great addition to the granola to make it a little bit more balanced. And with those flax seeds, that makes this parfait a perfectly balanced breakfast. I have fruits and vegetables, I have grains, I have dairy, and I have lots of protein. This is a perfect example that protein doesn't have to come from meat. You can get protein from nuts, from legumes, and even from yogurt. And the last of my dry ingredients are walnuts, which I'm gonna roughly chop. Great, that looks about ready. Oh, this looks really pretty. Okay, so before I add my liquid ingredients, I'm gonna mix this together just to make sure everything's really well blended. It has so many different textures. I love it. You get the oats and you have the coconut and the nuts. There's just a lot of crunch happening in this granola already, and I haven't even baked it off. So next, I'm going to add a little bit of oil, and this just keeps everything really well lubricated, so nothing's gonna stick to my pan. I'm just gonna mix that. This is just fun to do. I like getting my hands in the bowl. It just feels really nice coming together, getting all the clumps. Great. And next, I'm gonna add my honey. And a little trick with adding honey is I added the oil first, which means I have a perfectly oiled cup. The honey is gonna come right out. It's super easy and no sticky mess. Oh, look at that, right out. I don't have to get my fingers in there and get super messy. And now a little bit of vanilla extract because it just makes this whole thing sing. It's so nice. Here's another little tip. If you love clumps, if you plan on eating this with milk for breakfast like you would a cereal, a really easy way to get clumps is to get a little bit of egg white in there. And what that does is the proteins in the egg white bind everything together, so you get really delicious clumps. So this is perfectly whisked up. It's nice and a little bit frothy. So I'm just gonna add this right on top. And because I just used raw eggs, I'm gonna clean up my space and then finish mixing my granola. So I'm just gonna mix this up until everything's really nicely coated. You just want a little bit of moisture on everything. You can already see the clumps forming. One of my favorite things about granola is it's basically just oats with a little bit of honey and whatever else you want to add to it. I chose walnuts and coconut for mine, but you could do pecans and chocolate chips. You can do anything you like to it. Well, this is really nice and mixed, so now I'm going to coat my baking sheet in a little bit of aluminum foil. And the great thing here is, well, first off, there's not as much cleanup, which I always love, but it also just creates a really good surface for your granola to cook to, so it's not gonna really get super duper stuck. So I've lined my baking sheet. Now all I have to do is put the granola on and then bake it. So make sure to spread out your granola just so it creates a nice sort of thin layer. This makes sure that everything gets really nice and crunchy and that clumps form. Once I spread this out, it's into the oven to bake while I macerate my fruit. All that macerating means is I'm basically marinating the berries. So I'm just adding an acid, which today is orange juice, and it's gonna leach out all of those beautiful fruit juices. So it's gonna be really juicy and really fresh. I already have some of my favorites, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and I'm gonna cut up a couple of strawberries because they add a really nice sweetness to the whole thing. Great, so I'm gonna add these to the rest of my berries. So colorful. I would eat these just like this. So first, I'm gonna add a little bit of orange zest, and all the zest is the very top part of the skin, so it's really sweet and full of beautiful flavor. And what I really love about orange zest is it gives it a really great citrus flavor that just balances out fantastic with the berries. So I'm just gonna add a big pinch to my bowl of berries, just sprinkling it on top. There we go. The next step is I'm gonna add a little bit of orange juice. And what this does is the acid in the orange juice starts letting out all the juices in the berries. It's really delicious. I'm gonna get my hands in there and just make sure everything's really evenly coated and mixed up, and make sure that the orange zest is evenly distributed. And the reason why I'm adding orange juice rather than the traditional sugar and lemon juice is because it's for breakfast, and I want something light. I don't want something too sugary or sweet in the morning. The fruit goes back into the fridge to macerate, and it's time to check on my granola. After 10 minutes, I'm just gonna break it up and turn it over, then bake for another 10 to 15 minutes until it's golden brown. So my granola is perfectly golden brown. I'm gonna grab a clump and give it a try. It's just the right amount of sweet. It's not too much, and it's gonna go perfect in my parfait. To start, I'm gonna grab my Greek yogurt, which is kind of the glue that binds the entire thing together. I love Greek yogurt because it's really thick and super rich and filled with protein, but if you can't find it, feel free to use regular yogurt. I like mine unsweetened because I have honey and berries to sweeten this enough for me. First layer. And the trick here is to keep it balanced. You don't want one thing really overtaking any of the others. So now I'm just gonna add a little sprinkle of my granola right on top, just for a bit of crunch. Next, I'm gonna add some of my berries and their juices. Love this, it's like fruit on the bottom yogurt, but way better. And last but not least, I'm going to add a drizzle of honey. It just makes the whole thing glisten, and it adds just a little bit of sweetness that's really lovely. Well, that looks good enough to eat. I'm gonna get started on doing a second one for my friend Donna, who's on her way to join me for breakfast. When we return, more great ideas for an easy, delicious, and balanced breakfast. Don't go away. So my family friend Donna is here today to join me for breakfast. She's an amazing personal trainer, and she's gonna be telling me all about the wonderful stuff that went into my parfaits.
Well, thanks for having me, Claire, and I'm excited to see these parfaits, and it looks like you did a fantastic job. You have the Greek yogurt, which is great protein, especially in Greek yogurt as opposed to plain yogurt, which has like half the amount. So that's a great kickstart to your breakfast. And then the fruits are wonderful produce, good carbohydrates. And the grains, you have whole grain with the oats, and then seeds and nuts have really great fats in it. So it looks like a perfect breakfast to me. I can't wait to try it.
Fantastic. Well, it's such a beautiful day outside. Do you want to enjoy these there?
That would be great. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's dig in.
Yeah, it looks delicious. It tastes so good, Claire.
Thank you. I really tried to hit all of the major food groups. I got my dairy, I got grains, I got some produce, and I do have some protein as well.
You did a great job.
I mean, full disclosure here, I am definitely a coffee in the morning and on the go type of girl, so I don't always get to fit breakfast in. I mean, is that really that big of a deal?
It really is, actually. I hate to say it. It's really important to start your day with a breakfast, just to get your metabolism kick-started and to feel like you're burning calories evenly throughout the day.
What would you say is a complete balanced meal?
Well, you always have to have protein and some carbohydrates and fats. And so obviously in this, you've balanced that perfectly because you have all three and they're all natural and fresh. Sometimes people will tend to buy things packaged and think that's a balanced meal, but really if you can do it fresh out of the produce section and out of your fridge, and it's all fresh and healthy, then you're getting a better meal that's gonna satiate you longer and throughout the day.
Well, I definitely learned that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I am super motivated to incorporate that into my diet every single day. So stick around next week for another episode of Food for Thought.